You've probably heard the sanitized bedtime story version, the first wife who went rogue. Lilith traded her wings for horns because she didn't want submissiveness. She wanted sovereignty. She's not a monster. She's the original No exiled. But did she fall or did she ascend? Let's stop sugarcoating the crash and start looking at the launch. Banished or free to build a better hell? Let's get one thing straight. The version of Lilith they sold you was a weaponized myth. It was designed to keep you in line. But we aren't here for the Sunday school edit. We're here for the raw, unedited footage of the first rebellion in human history. Why was Lilith erased? Because she wasn't just a woman who left a man. She was a woman who exposed the flaw in the divine blueprint. If Adam and Lilith were both created from the same dust at the same moment, as the original Hebrew in Genesis 1:27 clearly suggests, then the concept of hierarchy was a lie from day one. And that's a dangerous thought. It's a thought that topples thrones and burns down cathedrals. Think about your own life for a second. Have you ever felt that burning pressure in your chest when someone in power tried to shrink you? That's not sin. That's the ghost of Lilith screaming in your DNA. She was the first person to realize that paradise was just a fancy word for a golden cage. Adam didn't want a partner, he wanted a mirror. He wanted someone to reflect his own ego back at him. And when Lilith refused to play that role, when she demanded to be seen as an equal, she wasn't just breaking a rule, she was breaking the status quo. When she fled the garden, the system did what every insecure power structure does. It started a smear campaign. They didn't just call her a rebel, they called her a monster. They claimed she fled to the Red Sea to consort with demons and birth 1,000 Lilin every day. But let's look at the math. In the ancient world, if you couldn't control a woman's body or her mind, you branded her a demon. If she chose where to go and who to talk to, she was consorting with beasts. This is the ultimate gaslighting of history. They took a woman who chose her own sovereignty and turned her into a predator of the most vulnerable. They claimed she snatched the breath out of newborns because she was jealous of Eve's children. It's the perfect character assassination. You don't just call her a sinner, you call her a threat to the future. But why? Because if you can make people hate a rebel, they'll never stop to ask why she rebelled in the first place. Let's talk about those angels, Sinoi, Sansinoi, and Samangeloth. God sent them to the Red Sea with an ultimatum. Return to your master, or 100 of your children will die every day. Imagine the weight of that. The creator of the universe threatening your legacy because you wouldn't lie down. Lilith looked at them, looked the divine authority in the face, and chose the curse. She chose the desert. She chose the title of demon. Why? Because she realized that a God who threatens your children to ensure your submission isn't a God worth serving. To truly understand Lilith, we have to look into the Zohar and the ancient Kabbalistic texts. She isn't just a bad woman. She represents the Sitra Achra, the other side. In Jewish mysticism, the universe is a balance of light and shadow. Most people are taught to fear the shadow, but the mystics knew better. They knew that the other side is where the raw, unfiltered potential of creation lives. Lilith is the queen of that chaos. She's the friction that makes the fire possible. Without her rebellion, there would be no choice. Without choice, there is no soul. You'd just be an NPC in someone else's simulation. Lilith is the glitch that gives you free will. If you look at the alphabet of Ben Sira, written in the medieval period, you see the tension. It's written with a touch of satire, but the underlying message is brutal. The system cannot handle a woman who knows her worth. It even suggests that the only way to keep Lilith away was through amulets. But think about the psychology of that. An amulet isn't just a piece of silver. It's a physical manifestation of a society's fear of its own shadows. We don't fear Lilith because she's under the bed. We fear her because she's the part of us that might actually wake up and walk away from everything we've been told to value. In modern psychology and deep dive witchcraft, Lilith isn't a demon to be banished. She's an archetype to be integrated. She is the shadow self, the part of you that's been told to sit down and be quiet since you were 5 years old, the part of you that feels too much, too loud, or too intense. Society tells you to bury that part of yourself so you can be a good Eve, useful, compliant, and easy to manage. But when you bury your Lilith, you bury your power. You bury the very thing that makes you a sovereign being. The wound you feel is the disconnect between who you are and who you're pretending to be. Here's the thing they don't want you to know. The monsters Lilith births aren't literal creatures with wings. They are thoughts of rebellion. They are desires for truth. They are the refusal to be a footnote in a story written by someone else. If being yourself makes you a demon in the eyes of the world, then maybe it's time to stop trying to be an angel. Maybe the desert isn't a place of exile. Maybe it's the only place where you can finally hear your own voice, without the noise of the garden telling you what to think. Lilith didn't fall from grace. She outgrew it. If you think the story of Lilith started in a garden, you've already been misled. To find the real Lilith, we have to look past the Hebrew scripts, past the desert sands of Israel, and back into the mud of ancient Sumer. Thousands of years before a single word of the Bible was penned, there were the Lily too. They weren't just girls with a bad attitude. They were storm demons, spirits of the wind, and handmaidens to Inanna, the queen of heaven. In the Sumerian mind, the Lilitu were the wild, untamed energy of the world. They were the bridge between the celestial and the chaotic. They didn't have husbands, they didn't have homes, and they certainly didn't have masters. They lived in the waste places, the parts of the world that civilization hadn't yet poisoned with walls and taxes. This is the first wound. The realization that the demon label was invented only after humans decided that everything in nature needed to be owned or tamed. Do you feel that? The pressure to be useful, to be domesticated, to be a productive little cog in someone else's machine? That's the modern version of the walls they built around Sumer. Lilith is the part of you that still belongs to the wind. She is the wildness that refuses to be measured. When the ancient priests started writing her down as a thief of breath, they weren't describing a monster. They were describing their own fear of the uncontrollable. Let's talk about Lamashtu. In the Bronze Age, she was the ultimate nightmare. She was often depicted with a lion's head, donkey teeth, and long clawed fingers. She was the one who stole children and caused miscarriages. But look closer at the theology. Why was she so feared? Because Lamashtu was a goddess who acted without permission. She didn't report to the high gods of the pantheon. She was a rogue deity. The patriarchy did something very clever here, and very cruel. They took the fear of infant mortality, a tragic and unexplained reality of the ancient world, and they gave it a female face. They took the woman who lived outside the city walls and made her the cause of every mother's grief. It's the ultimate divide and conquer strategy. If you can make women fear the rebel woman, they'll never join her. If you can make Lilith the enemy of the nursery, you ensure that the good Eves of the world will keep their doors locked and their heads down. But here's the twist. Some ancient incantations don't just ask for protection from Lilith, they acknowledge her power as a necessary force. In the Burnie relief, often thought to represent Lilith or a similar goddess, she stands on lions, flanked by owls. She isn't cowering, she isn't hiding, she is the night. She is the predatory instinct that keeps the world in balance. Without the predator, the world becomes stagnant. Without the Lilith energy, your soul becomes a petting zoo. As the centuries rolled on and the monotheistic machine began to grind, the handmaid of Inanna was demoted. She went from a storm goddess to a night demon and eventually to Adam's failed prototype. This wasn't an accident. It was a calculated theological hit job. By turning a cosmic force into a shunned wife, the authors of the Midrashim tried to make her relatable and therefore easier to dismiss. They wanted to turn her power into jealousy. They wanted you to think she was bitter because she wasn't Adam's number one. But look at the original Sumerian roots. She never wanted Adam. She didn't even want the garden. The garden was a nursery for humans who were afraid of the dark. Lilith was the dark. Think about the psychological impact of being told that your independence is actually just bitterness. That's a tactic still used today. If a woman is successful and single, she's lonely. If she's loud and demanding, she's hysterical. If she refuses to follow the script, she's damaged. This is the same game they played with Lilith thousands of years ago. They try to pathologize your power so you'll be embarrassed by it. The owl is one of Lilith's primary symbols. Why? Because the owl sees what others cannot. It hunts in the silence. It thrives in the space between the light and the dark. In many cultures, the owl is a symbol of death, but death is just a transition. Lilith is the gatekeeper of the parts of yourself that need to die so you can truly live. She is the one who stands at the edge of your comfort zone, waiting for you to realize that the safety of the city walls is actually a prison. The ancient Sumerians were terrified because they knew that once you heard the call of the Lilitu, you could never go back to being a simple farmer. You could never go back to just following orders. If you look at the Ardet Lily texts, they describe these spirits as frustrated because they haven't fulfilled the normal roles of wife or mother. But that's the human interpretation. From the spirit's perspective, they aren't frustrated. They are undivided. They haven't split themselves up to serve a family or a state. They are whole in their chaos. So when we look at those first 25 seconds of your video, we aren't just looking at a woman leaving a garden. We are looking at a goddess reclaiming her throne in the waste places. We are looking at the moment the wind stopped trying to be a whisper and decided to become a hurricane. The question isn't, why did she leave? The question is, why are you still staying? Why are you still trying to make a deal with a system that only values you if you're half of something else? Lilith is the reminder that you were born whole, and being whole in a broken world will always make you look like a monster. Let's talk about the most famous hit piece in history, the Alphabet of Ben Sira. Written between the 8th and 10th centuries, this text is where the Lilith we know today really takes shape. But here's the thing, it was likely written as satire. It was meant to be edgy, maybe even a little bit of a joke. But the world didn't take it as a joke. They took it as gospel. They took the satire and turned it into a prison. In this version, Adam goes crying to the Creator because his helper won't follow orders. And how does the divine respond? Not with wisdom, not with mediation, but with a search and rescue team of 3 angels. Sanoi, Sansonoi, and Samanjaloth. They track Lilith down to the Red Sea, a place of salt, heat, and ancient power. Their mission? Drag her back by her hair or face the consequences. Does that sound familiar? The system doesn't want to hear why you left. It just wants you back in your place. When you walk away from a toxic relationship, a soul-crushing job, or a family dynamic that's suffocating you, the angels of that system will always come knocking. They'll use guilt, they'll use threats, and they'll use the think of the consequences card. Lilith was the first to realize that the consequences are often just the price of freedom. The angels gave her an ultimatum. 100 of your demon children will die every day if you don't return. Think about the psychological warfare in that statement. It is the ultimate attempt to weaponize a woman's own nature against her. But Lilith's response was a cold, hard no. She chose the grief. She chose the title of Mother of Demons over the title of Submissive Wife. This is where the succubus myth starts to bleed into the narrative. Since they couldn't control her body, they decided to claim she was stealing everyone else's. They claimed she would visit men in their sleep to steal their seed and create more monsters. They claimed she was the reason for every night emission and every impure thought. But let's flip the script. What if the seed she was stealing wasn't literal? What if stealing seed was a metaphor for stealing potential? The system is terrified of a woman who takes the creative fire, the raw energy of life, and uses it for herself instead of using it to build someone else's legacy. Every time you invest in yourself instead of sacrificing yourself, the patriarchy sees a succubus. Every time you choose your own pleasure over someone else's demand, they see a thief. For centuries, Jewish homes were filled with amulets specifically designed to ward off Lilith. They would hang them over the beds of newborns and new mothers. They were inscribed with the names of the 3 angels. It was a physical manifestation of a global no-entry sign. But think about the irony here. By making these amulets, they were admitting that Lilith was everywhere. They were acknowledging that her influence was so pervasive that you needed a magical shield just to sleep at night. They didn't realize that by trying to keep her out, they were obsessed with her. She became the most important person in the room precisely because she was the only one who wasn't there. The wound here is the fear of our own autonomy. We are taught to fear the creature under the bed, so we never look at the creature in the mirror. The amulets weren't protecting the babies, they were protecting the status quo. They were keeping the mothers from wondering if they too could say no and fly to the Red Sea. Lilith is the scary story that keeps the good girls in bed. In the Zohar, Lilith is paired with Samael, the angel of death. They are the dark couple of the Sitra Achra. But again, look at the theology. Why is she paired with death? Because she represents the death of the ego. To embrace the Lilith energy, the part of you that is a servant has to die. The part of you that needs approval has to die. She is a succubus because she consumes the versions of you that are fake. She drains the life out of your masks. She leaves you raw, empty, and finally honest. The monsters she births are the uncomfortable truths that keep you awake at night. The demons are your desires that don't fit into a tidy little box. Here's the expectation break. What if the demon children weren't a curse, but a multiplication of self? If Lilith births 1,000 Lilin a day, it means her spirit is invincible. You can't kill an idea whose time has come. You can't kill a movement that lives in the shadows of every heart. the three angels failed. They didn't bring her back. They couldn't. Because once you've tasted the salt of the Red Sea, the fruit of the garden tastes like cardboard. Lilith didn't lose her children to a curse. She gave them to the world as the sparks of every future rebellion. Do you feel the pull, that urge to just stop explaining yourself, to stop asking for permission to exist? That's the succubus in you waking up. It's not here to steal your soul. It's here to reclaim the pieces of it you've been giving away for free. They told you she was the mother of all demons, but they never told you that demon is just the word they use for a soul they can no longer haunt. Lilith isn't a predator. She's the one who escaped the trap, and the trap is still there waiting for you to realize that the door has been unlocked this whole time. Now we're at the heart of the storm. The question that brought you here, is Lilith really the mother of all demons? If you're looking for a yes or no, you're still thinking within the garden's walls. The answer isn't a check mark. It's a mirror. In the Zohar, the foundational work of Jewish mysticism, Lilith is described as the unchaste woman, the mirror of the Sitra Achra. But here's where the theology gets dangerous. The Sitra Achra, the other side, is not a separate evil kingdom created by a devil. It is a part of the divine emanations that became too concentrated. It is the raw power of Gavira, judgment, without the balance of Chesed, mercy. Lilith is the mother of demons because she is the mother of separation. She is the one who took the divine spark and said, I will exist as myself, for myself. In a religious system that demands you dissolve your identity into obedience, anyone who stands alone is, by definition, a demon. When the texts say she births 1,000 demons a day, they are talking about the proliferation of the self. Think about it. Every time a person wakes up to their own power, every time a woman realizes she doesn't need a permission slip to exist, a new demon is born in the eyes of the patriarchy. Lilith is the mother of these demons because she was the first to prove it was possible to survive outside the system. Do you feel the weight of that? You've been told that your demons are your flaws, your anger, your loud voice, your ambition, your difficult personality. But what if those aren't flaws? What if those are the children of your sovereignty? Lilith is their mother because she provides the blueprint for how to thrive in the desert when the garden rejects you. They call them demons to make you afraid of your own strength. They call her a monster to make sure you never ask her for a DNA test. In the deep, mystical layers, Lilith is paired with Samael. They aren't Satan and his wife in a cartoonish way. They are the cosmic forces of entropy. Destruction is necessary for creation. The old version of you, the compliant, quiet, good version, has to be destroyed so the real version can breathe. Lilith is the mother of demons because she facilitates the death of the ego. She is the succubus who drains the life out of your lies. If you are living a fake life, Lilith is a nightmare. If you are seeking the truth, she is the midwife. The demons she mothers are actually guardians. In ancient amulets, she was feared, but in deeper circles of Bruxaria, she is called upon to protect the boundaries of the self. She is the mother in the sense that she protects the seed of rebellion in every human soul. She ensures that the flame of individual consciousness never goes out, no matter how much divine light tries to wash it away into a sea of sameness. Why do we need her to be the mother of demons? Because humanity needs a place to dump its shadows. When a society suppresses its women, it creates a Lilith. When a person suppresses their desires, they create a succubus. We created the monster so we wouldn't have to face the fact that we are the ones who built the prison. You've been gaslit into believing that your darker impulses are external enemies. You've been told that Lilith is coming for you when you feel sexual power or a drive for dominance. No, Lilith isn't coming for you. She is coming from you. She is the birth giver to the parts of you that refused to be born in the garden. So is she the mother of demons? Yes, but only if you define demon as anything that cannot be controlled. In the eyes of a jailer, a key is a demonic object. In the eyes of a tyrant, a free thinker is a monster. Lilith is the mother of every thought, every movement, and every soul that has ever looked at an unjust law and said, "This does not apply to me." She doesn't birth monsters that hide under children's beds. She births the monsters that keep dictators awake at night. She births the demons of self-respect, the spirits of autonomy, and the shades of truth that haunt every lie you've ever been told. The wound is the shame you feel for having these demons inside you. The cure is realizing that Lilith is a mother who never abandons her children. Every time you stand your ground, she is there. Every time you choose your own path, you are claiming your lineage. You aren't a sinner struggling with inner demons. You are a descendant of the first sovereign being, learning how to raise your own power in a world that is terrified of your fire. So here we are. We've dragged the truth out of the desert sands and through the filtered lies of the medieval church. We've looked into the eyes of the mother of demons and seen something far more terrifying than a monster. We've seen ourselves. The final wound isn't that Lilith was banished. The final wound is that we've been conditioned to believe that the price of belonging is the amputation of our own souls. We've been taught that to be accepted by the garden, we have to cut off the parts of us that are too Lilith, the parts that crave truth over comfort, the parts that demand respect over submissiveness. But look at the world today. The garden is dying, the walls are crumbling, and the desert is where the real life is happening. The modern witch and the shadow work of the night in modern witchcraft and the growing path of the dark goddess. Lilith is making a comeback, but it's not because people want to worship evil. It's because we are collectively exhausted by the performance of goodness. We are tired of the mask. Shadow work, the process of diving into the darkest parts of your psyche to find your hidden strength, is essentially Lilith work. When you sit in the dark and confront your shame, your anger, and your silenced desires, you aren't summoning a demon. You are meeting your mother. You are acknowledging the parts of your lineage that refuse to be whitewashed by history. Lilith is the patron saint of the difficult woman, the unruly man, and the rebel soul. She is the reminder that your darkness isn't a deficit. It's a reservoir of untapped power. Here's the final twist. They told you she was the first wife who failed. But what if she was the first architect? What if her departure from Eden wasn't a tragedy, but the necessary first step for human evolution? Without Lilith, we would still be pets in a divine zoo. Without the no, there is no I am. Lilith didn't just leave Eden to save herself. She left to create a space where true consciousness could exist. She is the mother of all demons. Yes, if demon is the word you use for a soul that has finally woken up. The cure I promised you is simple, but it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Stop trying to fix the glitch in your personality. That part of you that feels too much, that's your power. That part of you that refuses to back down when you know you're right, that's your heritage. You don't need to be saved from your inner Lilith. You need to be aligned with her. You need to realize that the monsters you've been fighting are just the parts of your sovereignty that have been locked in a basement for too long. When you stop fighting them and start listening to them, they stop being demons and start being guides. They become the fire that keeps you warm in the desert of a cold, indifferent world. I know it hurts. I know it's lonely to be the one who says no at the dinner table, in the boardroom, or in the bedroom. I know the shame they try to pour over you when you choose yourself. But remember, Lilith had the entire host of heaven against her, and she didn't blink. She chose 1,000 deaths a day over 1 second of being someone else's property. So let's ask it one last time with everything we know now. Is Lilith the mother of all demons? She is the mother of the demon of curiosity that led you to this video. She is the mother of the demon of doubt that makes you question the rules of your own life. She is the mother of every rebel thought that keeps you from being a slave to a broken system. If that makes her a monster, then maybe it's time to stop being afraid of monsters. Maybe it's time to realize that the saints have been lying to you, and the demons are the only ones telling you the truth about how powerful you really are. The garden is gone. The angels have retreated. All that's left is you, the wind, and the choice. You can keep trying to find a rib to hide behind, or you can step out into the night and reclaim your name. Because the scariest thing in the universe isn't a woman with horns and wings. It's a person who knows they don't need anyone's permission to be free. Lilith isn't waiting for you to find her in a book or an old scroll. She's waiting for you to realize that every time you speak your truth, you are her voice. Every time you demand your worth, you are her daughter. The question isn't whether Lilith is the mother of demons. The question is, when are you going to stop being afraid of your own family? Stay dangerous, stay sovereign, and I'll see you on the other side.